Our story begins in an online game titled Legendary Age, where a high school student named Nishimura is being proposed to by AKO, a member of his guild. He accepts her in-game marriage proposal despite not believing that she's actually a girl in real life. Nishimura once confessed to a girl in the game, but she rejected him and revealed that she was actually a middle-aged man. Crushed by this, he vowed to never trust a girl online. However, after playing solo for a while and doing some soul-searching, he concluded that his real life and his in-game life are two completely separate things, and that what happens in the game stays in the game. So, it doesn't really matter to him anymore if a person in the game is a girl or not, as long as they're cute. Nishimura actually enjoys spending time with AKO and the rest of his guild, even though AKO is a really bad healer and he keeps dying because of her mistakes. But AKO loves Nishimura because of how patient he is with her. After clearing a dungeon, AKO asks Nishimura why he finally accepted her marriage proposal despite rejecting her numerous times in the past. He admits that he doesn't care if she's truly a girl or not, but she insists that she is indeed a real girl. The guild master says that he's also a girl in real life, but no one believes him. As such, the guild master decides that they'll do a meetup in real life, and I guess Japan has never heard of To Catch a Predator, so everyone agrees to meet the next day. Nishimura is visibly nervous while he waits for everyone else to show up. Suddenly, he feels someone tugging on his shirt. When he turns around, he sees a beautiful girl who reveals herself to be AKO. She embraces him and calls him Rujin, which is his in-game username. Nishimura is shocked that his online wife is actually a real girl rather than a middle-aged man. The other guild members arrive shortly after. The guild master turns out to be a real girl too, named Kyo, and she's also the student council president. His other guild mate is also a girl named Akane, who is Nishimura's classmate and often makes fun of him at school for being an otaku, even though she secretly is one too. They then go to a cafe, where they formally introduce their real-life selves and share their common dislike for normies, with AKO clinging to Nishimura the entire time. Even though they're only married in the game, AKO seems to believe that Nishimura is her husband in real life too. Akane seems to be the most socially adept one in the group, which makes AKO go a bit crazy because she hates normies with a social life. But Akane reassures her that she doesn't really have much of a social life, and that she doesn't even want a boyfriend because it would take away her gaming time. At the end of their get-together, Nishimura apologizes to his guild mates for assuming that they were all guys. They forgive him, and they all look forward to seeing each other at school. However, Akane and Nishimura agree to keep their real life separate from their game life and continue to act like strangers at school, as Akane doesn't want people to know she's an otaku. Otherwise, her social life and reputation would be completely ruined. That night, when Nishimura logs on to play Legendary Age, he begins to picture his guild mates as their real-life girl counterparts. The next day at school, AKO visits Nishimura's class and casually calls him by his online username, Rujin, and proudly declares that she is his wife, which greatly confuses the other students. Embarrassed, Akane and Nishimura drag AKO out of the classroom. They try several ways to explain that their school life and in-game life are supposed to be separate, but AKO simply doesn't understand and perceives this as them not wanting to be her friend. They realize that AKO just can't distinguish real life from her in-game life. Later that day, Kyo organizes an online gaming club and recruits Nishimura, Akane, and AKO. Akane initially refuses to join because she doesn't want her reputation to be affected, but she changes her mind after being tempted by the powerful gaming rigs that Kyo has provided club members. The club's purpose is to help AKO come to terms with reality and help her understand that her real life and her in-game life are completely different. They hope that by playing together in the same room as AKO, she'll learn to separate both worlds. Later that day, Nishimura surprisingly runs into Nikoheim in the game, the middle-aged man who had rejected him previously. Nikoheim is glad to see that Nishimura is still playing the game even after she rejected him, and he tells her that it was actually a positive experience for him. The next day after school, the club meets up to play Legendary Age together. Nishimura takes a look at AKO's gear and realizes that she's equipped with bad gear with poor stats just because it looks cute on her character. They force her to equip a flame-resistant robe, which upsets her because she doesn't think it looks cute. To make matters worse, AKO is not used to the settings on this computer, so she doesn't even know what buttons to push to cast heals. Nishimura is forced to play both his character and hers so that their entire guild doesn't get wiped out. If AKO played League of Legends, she would surely be a Yumi main. He rushes to the meetup location and arrives in time to confront AKO. But it seems the stranger has not shown up yet. Suddenly, their teacher, Ms. Yui, appears, and she's shocked to hear AKO call Nishimura by his in-game username, Rujin. That's when Nishimura realizes that Ms. Yui is actually Nikoheim, the supposedly middle-aged man who had rejected him. AKO had planned to meet up with Nikoheim to confront her in person and tell her to stay away from her husband. She attacks Ms. Yui, who instinctively clotheslines her in response. Kyo then recruits Ms. Yui to be the club's new advisor, and she can't really refuse after dropping a student to the ground. Some time passes, and AKO becomes distressed when rumors about her and Nishimura's relationship begin to surface. AKO had done everything she could to create an antisocial barrier around herself, but now her classmates are breaking through that barrier, gossiping with her about her relationship with Nishimura. This is very overwhelming for an introvert like her. As AKO seeks advice from her friends about this situation, Akane's friend Nanako walks into the clubroom. Akane becomes distressed as well when Nanako questions her about the club and why she's there. Akane tries to cover for herself and is left in despair after shoving her friend out of the clubroom. Later that night, Nishimura and AKO run into a new player named Set. Nishimura helps her learn the basics of the game, which triggers AKO's jealousy. The next day, the guild is preparing for another quest when Set finds Nishimura again. He explains to the guild that Set is a new player, so Akane offers to help her improve. However, Set playfully declines, claiming that she only wants to be tutored by Rujin. This, of course, makes AKO even more jealous. The next day at school, AKO suggests that the club should play a different game because she doesn't want them running into Set again. Kyo searches for a new game to play and stumbles upon an FPS game called Ultra Force. The club agrees to play and is surprised to find that AKO is amazing at the game. She pictures her enemies as normies and uses her hatred of normies to snipe targets with exceptional skill. After an all-night Ultra Force gaming session, a sleep-deprived Nishimura finds AKO exhibiting behavior similar to the game. She talks using military slang and mentions sniping enemy normies at school. Nanako approaches Nishimura and questions him about why he was offline in Legendary Age yesterday. Nishimura and the others soon realize that Nanako was actually Set. AKO, realizing this, rocks back and forth, mumbling to herself about how her high school life is over. Meanwhile, Nanako teases AKO by clinging to Nishimura, which causes a frustrated AKO to storm off. Nanako later apologizes to Nishimura and clarifies that she's not romantically interested in him at all. With no signs of communication from AKO in the real world, Nishimura decides to talk to her in the game. She reveals her plans to quit school and focus entirely on playing Legendary Age, so she can max out her level and reincarnate as a different character. She's so devoted to this goal that she even blocks the in-game chat, forcing Nishimura to bring back AKO on his own. He skips school and goes to AKO's house the next day. Her mother surprisingly already knows all about how Nishimura is Rujin, AKO's online husband, and she gives him her blessing, even handing him the key to AKO's bedroom. He knocks on her door and warns AKO that he's coming in with or without her permission. She panics and tells him she's not ready yet, but Nishimura opens the door regardless, only to find AKO in her underwear in the middle of changing. He nervously slams the door shut to give AKO some privacy to get dressed. AKO admits that she prefers to game in her underwear because it's more comfortable. When she's ready, she lets Nishimura know that he can enter the room. But when he opens the door, he finds AKO completely naked. She asks him to please be gentle with her before he slams the door shut once more. After clearing up the misunderstandings, AKO and Nishimura spend all day playing the game together and maxing out her character. He even stays at her house overnight, and they continue to play until morning. Understanding how she truly feels and empathizing with her struggles to grasp and accept reality, Nishimura convinces AKO to go back to school. He promises that if she ever becomes so overwhelmed that she wants to skip school again, he'll come back to her house so they can play all day together. Some time passes and Nishimura realizes that he doesn't just want to be married to AKO in the game. He wants to have a normal boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with her in real life too. But he struggles to get his feelings across to AKO. Nishimura has an honest conversation with Akane and Kyo about how to confess to AKO in the real world, but neither of them has any real love experience to offer advice. Nevertheless, They help Nishimura think of ways to confess. The next day after school, Nishimura and AKO have an afternoon stroll together and stop at the park. Nishimura bravely confesses his feelings to AKO and asks her to be his girlfriend, but she abruptly rejects him. After Kyo and Akane do a comical dance to cheer up a devastated Nishimura, Akane calls up AKO and confronts her about the rejection. AKO explains that going from being a wife in the game to a girlfriend in real life views moving from being married in the game to being girlfriend and boyfriend in real life as a downgrade, which is why she rejected Nishimura. He's relieved to know AKO still likes him, but he's unsure how to make her see him as a real-life partner rather than just her in-game husband. During their summer vacation, the club decides to hang out at Kyo's villa. They hope to use this time to help AKO disconnect from the online world and connect with Nishimura in reality. However, after only a couple of hours at Kyo's private beach, the group is already itching to go back inside and play games. Ms. Yui, their club advisor, gets frustrated that they aren't making the most of their youth and orders them to stay outside and enjoy the day. Later that night, Kyo sets up a special line of fireworks to create a romantic atmosphere for Nishimura's confession to AKO. Nishimura then confesses his love to her on the villa steps, and AKO responds by saying she loves him too, but still sees their relationship as husband and wife. Nishimura feels disheartened that AKO hasn't yet made the shift from their online marriage to a real-world relationship. Kyo deems the vacation a failure, so he arranges another outing at a luxurious hotel hosting a promotional event in collaboration with Legendary Age. The group spends the day participating in various in-game quests throughout the hotel, earning exclusive items by purchasing different services. Midday, Nishimura returns to his hotel room to play Legendary Age with AKO, who then invites him to her in-game room. However, when Nishimura logs in and out randomly, AKO suggests they engage in naughty chat, but something seems off about the newly logged-in Rujin. Suddenly, Nishimura gets logged out and can't get back into his account. He realizes that a hacker has taken over his account and is chatting with AKO, posing as him. He rushes to AKO's hotel room to warn her, but she has already sensed that something wasn't right with the imposter Rujin. Nishimura checks their chat history and finds that the hacked Rujin had made sexually aggressive advances towards AKO. She apologizes for briefly mistaking the imposter for the real Nishimura, but he reassures her that the situation was his fault, not hers. Kyo and the others arrive to assess the damage done to Nishimura's account. Though he regains access, his character, Rujin, has been deleted. While AKO grieves the loss of his character, the group resolves to help Nishimura recover at least some of his items. Nikoheim reaches out to her guildmates, while Kyo and Nishimura track down a merchant named Rantun who is selling some of Rujin's items at absurdly high prices. They report Rantun to the game admins, but since Rantun's IP address doesn't match the hackers, they can't prove he was involved. Meanwhile, members of Nikoheim's guild manage to recover Rujin's wedding ring, much to AKO's delight. Later, Nishimura and his guildmates receive a URL leading to a hacker's blog, where the hacker brags about Nishimura's account hack. Nishimura devises a plan to catch the hacker, and for the next 3 days, everyone except AKO works tirelessly to set it up. AKO, worried about Nishimura's well-being, visits his house to check on him and brings him a homemade bento. During their conversation, she realizes that with Nishimura's account being deleted, their in-game marriage has also been annulled, which shocks her. The next day, Nishimura's plan is revealed. They created a fake hacking blog to lure the hacker and capture his real IP address, which they then sent to the game admins. The admins ban the hacker and all his alternate accounts, restoring Nishimura's Rujin character. After his account is back, Nishimura and AKO get married in the game once more, with all their online friends, including their guild and Nikoheim, present to celebrate. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more anime recaps. Let me know in the comments if you've ever had any wild online gaming experiences like Rujin and AKO, or if you've got any suggestions for the next anime to cover. Aminx is always here to keep you caught up. Until next time, keep leveling up, and I'll see you in the next video.